So, what happened later in my day 8 development diary is a mistake, and somehow I didn't have I think the final third, like maybe or a quarter of the video is just the launcher. I don't know how that happens, and I didn't monitor my stream properly. So here's a like a supplement explanation of what I did after the video showing only the Unreal Engine launcher. So I was trying to solve the race condition happens in Block Manager, where our cascade depths and current depths kind of interfere with each other. In the end, this concept of trying to define or search for depths within Block Manager itself is scrapped. So we could probably keep it for calculate score purpose-wise, but right now the depths is moved to block itself. So in order to do that, we update the block interface. For flip direction, we actually pass over the depth value, and we also actually use this get flip status function where it returns the last flip direction is the block currently flipped, and the depth of the a flipped block was set to. Okay, so now we get this out of the way, we can see what we did a change to block controller where the first flip would happen, right? So what it did is, after we update the interface, we know when we flip the block, it will always going to be the first one get flipped. So we set the depth to 1 here. That's pretty much like the update we did to block controller. Now we go to base block itself. We have some big changes. So one of the big changes is here, when we play the animation, we decide to make it with 4 sequence action, because sequence will always happen in sequence. So 0 will be done, and then 1, and then 2, and then 3. So instead of putting this set flipped as usual, after it tries to open the gate, we need to actually set flipped variable before the gate is open. Why? Because if we ever want to check if our block is flipped or not, it has to be done before the animation is done and open the gate. Otherwise, when the gate is opened, and if another event flip direction coming through, our flip is not set yet, because it's the next in sequence. It could actually happen, so you would flip the block twice, which defeats the purpose of using the gate, or like not flipping, if that's the case. Yeah, it would actually go through here and go through here, and then the gate open, you flip it again. So we don't want that. Now we do this, and we also don't want to call the function to call a cascade flip check, which will call to flip do the cascade flip functions to be called before the gate is open. So if your gate is closed and somehow you call this cascade flip check function, and it was like go to somewhere and then try to call it back, then this would fail, because the gate is still closed. So we need to do the function call only after the gate is open. So 2 is to open the gate, and close gate is from when the update happens, right? So when it's finished, we first update some of the variable. We then set the flip status. So in the comment section here, I said any state change to a block should happen before gate is open again. And then we open the gate, and then I update the comment says any calls to following cascade should happen after gate is open. So that makes things clear. So it would not interfere things at all locally. That's the one big change that makes things happen. And then at the beginning, we add two checks. Since we did the change in the sequence node, we can now do a flipped check if our current block is flipped or not. If it's flipped, we definitely don't want to flip it again. In the future, there will be a function to reset the flip like a boolean, and also reset the flip depths, right, after the score calculation and everything is done. So we can then so after the flip check is done and it's not flipped, so it's in a false execution line, we set the flip depth from the interface change we did early on, and then set the text to the depths itself, and then we enter the gate and decide if we can do an animation. Now this is this is pretty much the only change I did to like a base block. So that's that. And then we go back to our block manager. So in block manager, I didn't I did a lot of change on this cascade flip check, and the later half I actually merged the function, so there is no longer a function or an interface called flip blocks, which sends over an array of indices trying to flip. So this, I already removed a lot of nodes regarding to cascade depths array and the current depths variable. So they're no longer here. It's like a much simpler graph. What we do here is then, since we have the array index, so any blocks gets flipped, we'll send an event here, right? So what we did is we want to get the flip status before we do anything else. So this function will only be called after a block is flipped. So when we get the flip status, this is always true, and this might be whatever direction it sets to. And it's also here as well, so we don't actually need this one. We don't actually need the last flip direction because it was already in the event call, is in the direction here, so we don't need those, but it might be helpful for other functions, so we'll keep those two. And then the depths will always be the one who called by this block steps +1. So here is the +1. So we can still do the get the JSON index and return valid index array here. This is still valid. And if for each loop we do things like this, it's so simple. We basically get the index of our block that we want to flip, right? And then when we call the flip direction, we get the flip dir from the beginning, and we get the depths was this +1 value, so it will only ever going to be +1, and it only happens in one direction and everything is fine. The graph is actually extremely simple after I decide to move the depth calculation into block itself, which is really good. And then I'll start showing you the result we have. I actually set my like array of blocks to 5 to verify there is no possible race condition would happen and affects the result. So right now it's a 5 by 5 array of blocks. So if I flip one of it, you see it changes beautifully, where it's like a 1 2 2 2 2, and just check diagonally because we don't have pattern yet. 3 3 3 3 3 3 4 5 and 6 7. And if we restart the game and just basically change any direction, you'll see it all flip accordingly and cascade properly. So 5 is a pretty safe value. If if in 5 by 5 there are so many calls happening at the same time, so if your thing has any race condition, you would definitely screw up the calculation somewhere. But the number is fine, and I run the test multiple times from multiple direction, and every time it was fine like that. It's like awesome. I was still excited after seeing this pulled off properly. So that's all we've done so far. And so in case you don't have patience to listen to just listen to what I the voice is still recorded, but there's no any monitor or video recorded update. In case you don't have patience to only listen to what I did in the later part of the video, so the next week we will try to update our block asset to actually implement the patterns and then the pattern checking. So next week we'll definitely focus on the establish how we identify a block's pattern and should we flip it or not. So before we can do that, we need to create some assets so we can have some basic block variations with patterns that we can match, where we talk about in maybe the first 2 days, where I explain the basic concept of how the core mechanic would work. So that's all. And if you have any questions, you can leave it in the YouTube video comments, and that would be it. I don't really check forum that often right now, and that's it. I would just say have a good day. I'm sorry that I have to upload this again, making the excitement part of solving a pretty tough multi-thread race condition problem to be explained in a really quick fashion. It's definitely less exciting to trying to solve a problem, and then when you actually solve it, you didn't record everything. But that's it. That's life. It happens all the time, and I will make sure I monitor my stream next time properly. That's it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.